So, what does a title agent do for you in the state of Florida when it comes to a closing? Well, on today's episode, we're going to find out, and we're getting started right now. Hey everybody, I'm Palm Beaches Paul, your favorite realtor and guide to the Palm Beaches, and welcome back to another fun-filled episode of Pints with Paul, the YouTube live stream where we talk about anything and everything living in the Palm Beaches. We'll have a cold local beer, and I got an expert from the title industry here with us today. So anyway, it is Thursday. I hope everyone's doing well. This is our my second episode of my live stream. So thank you for anyone who's out there watching and enjoying this. On this live stream, basically, we will talk about what it's like to live here in Palm Beach County. We'll talk a little bit about real estate. We'll talk a little bit about beer. Got my new t-shirt. I love Florida beer. And just in general, we'll talk about what it's like to live here in the Palm Beaches. But as I said, this episode is going to be about title. I know a lot of you who are looking to move down here from the Northeast, and up there, a lawyer tends to handle everything. Down here in Florida, it's a little bit different. And so I have a special guest that I'm going to bring on, Al Sherman from Global Closings. He is a title expert here in South Florida. He's also a resident of South Florida, but he used to live up in the Northeast. So he knows a little bit about real estate from both aspects. And we'll bring him in just a second. So let me go ahead and get Al and bring him on board. All right, Mr. Al Sherman, how are you?
Paul, how are you today?
I'm good, good. Welcome to the show.
I'm happy to be here. And anybody out there listening?
You know what? Yeah. Right now, it looks like we have nobody, but that's okay because this is a recorded show and people will come back and watch it. Sometimes they're not ready for all this energy at 7 o'clock on a Thursday evening. So who knows? But
tough out there.
It is. They got things to do. It's who knows? They're probably enjoying. If they're in the Northeast, they're probably hiding somewhere by an air conditioner because it's been so hot. And well, we're just used to the heat here in South Florida. So. But welcome, man. How's life? Yeah, how's life? How's business?
Business is very good. It's still quite busy out there, although August is generally a slower time of year for real estate agents, title people. It's still still pretty busy. Unfortunately, not a lot of inventory out there, as Paul can explain.
Yeah, tell me about it. Inventory, it's where are we at? So for the month of July, I know you and I were just talking about this, but compared to last year, we had 3.4 months worth of inventory, and for the month of July, and right now we're down to 1.5. So, and it's crazy compared to the number of listings from last year. At the same time for July, we always get these reports, a little bit right there a month behind. So in July of 2020, they had 4,642 active listings on the property, right? Okay, pretty good. Yeah. So for this July, they had 2,493, and people, that's why people are fighting for homes, because it's half of what we had, and there's still so many people here trying to find that property. So, but it's just crazy. And of course, prices have just been, nutty. The median sales price for a property last year was just under 400,000 at 399,000 for a single family home. And for this July, it's at $500,000. So supply and demand, baby, supply and demand,
I haven't seen this market. I don't think I've ever seen this market from New York to here.
Yeah, no, 9 years in the business, I don't think I've ever seen anything like this, and it just continues to, the only thing I will say is it seems to maybe slowed a little. It's certainly not what some of these people out there saying the burst. There's no burst. I think a lot of my friends all agree, and you said there's no burst coming, no bubble. it's slowed down a little. There's maybe because school, it's fall, people going back, kids are going to college, whatever, vacation's over. But I already got a phone call today from someone looking, and I think people will start getting back on and, looking at making offers on homes again and stuff. But it slowed down just a hair.
Well, it's also nice up north, so people aren't dying to get out from 20 degrees.
Yeah.
So it's
well, they are having a heat wave though. It's I talked to my one client who says it's just unbearable up there right now with the heat that they've been getting. So
yeah, it is. I know.
But they'll be getting that.
I still have kids up north.
Okay, they'll be getting their cool breeze. I'm sure, long time before we ever will feel any cool air. It was windy out last night, and I was like, "Ooh, it's fall." It's like, no, it's not. It's just a storm coming. It's just a storm coming our way. Another Florida thunderstorm. So
it was, yes.
So a lot of the people who watch my videos and tune into the channel are obviously people from out of state. There's some local people stuff, but most of the people are people who are considering moving to South Florida. They find my channel. They, watch the videos where I show the beaches and the different neighborhoods, and I talk about different real estate and also different things of just places to live, cities, and all that kind of stuff. And the one question that comes up quite often with people, when they start to look at the contract, they say, do we need a lawyer? And of course, I always advise if you want a lawyer, you can have a lawyer. But as far as the closing aspect down here, we don't typically have a lawyer. We have a title company. Now you have a lawyer there for the title company, but it's not like he is specifically their personal lawyer. If they want to hire their own real estate lawyer to look at the contract and all that, by all means, they can certainly do that. But as far as how the closing and the transaction takes place, and I know it's a little different in Palm Beach County than Broward. So for the people listening, let's give them an example. You can do an example of both, I guess, but really in Broward County, the buyer, when they put an offer, they get to pick the title company.
Pick and pay title.
Pick and pay, right. In Palm Beach County, the seller does. Yes. So typically the buyers just kind of go along with whatever the seller chooses, and they kind of do that unless they, again, want to hire their own real estate attorney to handle it, or closing attorney.
Right, exactly.
So go ahead.
And they're going to pay a lot more for a closing if they hire their own attorney to actually either prepare buyer docs or seller docs.
Okay.
If somebody does that, and they hire the attorney, they're going to pay a lot more than if they have the closing company that's closing it, actually doing the full transaction.
Okay. So let's kind of, if we could start from the beginning. So we find the house, we put them under contract, and they're all good to go. So the first thing that obviously has to come up is they have an escrow deposit. They need to, their good faith estimate, whatever. They have to take that money and give that to somebody. So whether
has to be a licensed escrow agent.
Right. So, and they'll hold that escrow, and usually they have 3 days from the contract, whatever, to get that to them for that first escrow. So that could either go to, if they wanted, now if they had someone that they wanted to hold it, they don't necessarily have to send it to you, right? If they wanted to, if I happen to know just whatever, Mr. Attorney, and he can hold it, he can hold that escrow, and then he has to transfer that money over to you at the time of closing.
Correct. In some cases, real estate companies themselves can actually hold escrow.
Yeah, so. not a lot of them anymore.
No. It's just a liability, and there's no need for them to do that.
Yeah. I know a lot of brokers I've spoken to. They don't want the headache with dealing with that and stuff. It's just easier to have the title company than have your own escrow account. But okay, so at what point do you get involved in the transaction? I know, typically I tell them we get through our inspection period, and after the inspection period, they've already kind of given you the escrow, but is it typically you guys don't really start doing much of the work until maybe after inspection, right?
Yes and no. I mean, generally, as soon as you get the contract and send it to us, which is usually the day or the day after you get the executory contract, we'll actually, in most cases, reach out to our underwriters and order a title search.
Okay.
From our underwriters. Now, the title search, what the basic title search is going to do, it's going to search back generally 30 years to see if there's any recorded liens against that property. And the underwriter will come back with a title commitment. It'll have anything that's liened against the property, and it'll basically tell the title agent exactly what needs to be done, what needs to be cleared up for that title to be cleared. And that usually comes back in 2 to 3 days, or actually when it's busy, it can take up to 3 to 5 days. But usually we'll do that right away because we want to know if anything is going to hold up title. And if it's a deal that's going through a finance, the lender will want to know right away too if there's anything that's leaned against the property or that's going, that we have to clear up. That's going to be a problem. So we'll generally do that right away within the first day or two.
Okay, good deal. So, so you get through all that information. What can they, after you get through all that, and you've kind of done everything, what's the next step with going through with the closing with them?
Well, if there's something that comes up on the title search that's really a problem, we will go back to the lenders. We will go back to the buyers and say, there's a problem here. We need to clear this up.
Okay,
maybe you as the listing agent probably didn't know there was a lien on the property, or the seller might not have known there was a lien on the property.
Right.
So that's important to know pretty, right at the beginning before we go into everything else. That's why the title search is done.
So on a lot of my, on all my contracts, I usually put in additional terms for my buyers. The seller is responsible for closing out any and all any permits that are open or anything, any liens, any violations, whether that's city, HOA, anything that could cloud the title, cause a problem. They have to clear that before closing. So when they sign that contract, it's saying, okay, we will do that. And that actually just came up in a transaction, and they had it wasn't anything major. It's just they had new storm shutters put on. So, and they said, yep, that was just done. The city just signed off on it, and so it will be closed out, and they'll send it back. I guess they send it back to the title company, and then they'll take care of it.
Now, what's interesting is those things like open permits, possible city liens, they generally won't come up on a title search because they're not liened against the property yet in most cases. So what the title company has to do after a title search, they have to do what's called a municipal lien search. Now, the municipal lien search will reach out to the cities or the county where the property is located, and they'll turn up things like water bills owed, possible city liens. In some cases, they haven't cut their grass in a year. So the city's been fining them $100 every single day for 2 to 3 to 6 months. And while it's not liened yet, you better believe that the city is going to come after you once you buy that property. And what's interesting in Florida, as opposed to other places, that follows the new buyer to the property. It does not stay with the seller. So that's another thing that's important.
Well, wouldn't that come up now? If that came up, though, the buyer would have to sign a hold harmless to this agreeing to buy the property, right? If they would have to agree to, they'd have to sign that, giving the seller a hold harmless, right?
They can do that.
Well,
if there's an open permit or something like that,
right? Or they can whatever argue and say, you need to clear that up, or we're not going to close. But again, that's again why we put at least on my contracts, I put additional terms on there to make sure, because we don't want any of those headaches to come up. It's like, hey, listen, this is your house. You need to clear that mess up. I don't want my buyer signing and taking responsibility for something that could actually end up costing them a whole lot of money, especially if it's some city violation, or if something was done against city code and that city code changed, and this has been, say, 20 years have passed. That code could be completely different, and it could end up the rebuild to that could be thousands of dollars. So, it's rare, but it could be. Yeah. So those kind of things to do. Okay. So that's good. So you're doing all the research, you're making sure that they're getting a clean, let's call it a clean bill of health on their house, right? That there's no liens on it, and Nobody's going to come and claim property, long lost relative, say, no, that's I always do that properly, like everything, making sure that it's cleared to pass on. So and it usually takes roughly for a finance deal 35 to 40 days. It can be quicker sometimes, but typically I just say 40 days just to be safe for all aspects of it and stuff. What does it typically cost? What are some of the expenses that a buyer could expect to pay?
Well, it depends. If in Palm Beach, like I said, the seller will pay for most of the closing costs, including title insurance. Now, title insurance is, especially in Florida, it's not mandatory, but 95% of anybody who buys a home in Florida gets title insurance. Basically, because if someone, as you just said, if someone comes back after you purchase that home and says, "Hey, I have something right here in front of me that says I owned this home 20 years ago," or I was the brother of so and so who was deceased, and I had power of attorney. This person had no right to sell this property. Title insurance will protect you against that, and the title company will be able to handle that going forward. If you don't have title insurance, basically, if something like this happens, you're on your own.
You're going to court, and that's going to cost a whole lot more money than what what it's going to cost for the title insurance. So
okay. Exactly.
All right.
Exactly.
And I know there's certain state fees that are, when people look and they're shopping around, and there's certain state fees that it doesn't matter if they hire you or anybody else. There's
title insurance is one of those that's mandated by the state.
Right.
So any title company has to charge the exact same amount for title insurance.
Gotcha. Okay. And then each title company may have their own, depending on what you charge, your own fee. So
there's not a lot of fees that aren't mandatory.
Right.
The few fees that aren't are things like the settlement fee. Every title company will have a settlement fee. Okay. And generally it'll be more for a finance deal as opposed to a cash deal. Right. It'll be more for $1 million+ deal as opposed to a regular deal. But basically it's a title search fee, which could be title settlement fee, which could be around $695. Now, let me just backtrack a second here.
Sure.
Now, we discussed that in Florida, you do not have to have a lawyer who owns the title company. Because in Florida, title agents have license to close the entire deal in Florida. Now, you can hire a title real estate attorney to close you. I guarantee it's going to cost you a lot more than having a title company do it. Before I was in title, I worked for a lien search company. We dealt with 200 title companies. And I can tell you from experience that in 95% of all cases in closing, you do not need to hire a title attorney. You're going to pay more money than you should. And in most cases, the title agents that you're dealing with, especially with Global Closing Company, most of our title agents have 15, 20 years of experience, have more experience than most of these real estate agents do. So,
that's why I have people like you come on, because I don't pretend to know what you do. I really don't. My job is know my contracts and help people negotiate and do everything that I can to get to a smooth closing and all that. But, I don't, when I'm talking to people, I don't put on the title hat. I don't put on the mortgage hat. I don't. It's like, that's what you do every day. You don't practice real estate every day. I do. You practice title every day, and my mortgage people practice them. So I know some agents like to be a jack of all trades. I'm not. I'd rather just be good at one thing, and that's working on the real estate side of it. And then have people like you and, the other people in our brokerage group that I can refer to and say, hey, you want to talk to this person? Go talk to them. Just like I won't answer. I'll give advice, but it's never legal advice.
Well, I was actually a real estate agent in Long Island, New York for many years.
That's why that's why it's good to have you, because I think a lot of the people who watch can relate to that, and you understand what it's like up there and understand the differences. So, what else would you want people to know about? What are some things that you could, what are some questions that come up a lot to you from people that are, they're coming down, say, Al, it wasn't like this up in, New York. What is it like here?
Well, I mean, basically, like I said, to me, it's a lot easier to close in Florida than it is in New York.
Okay.
When you get a lawyer for the real estate company, you get a lawyer for the title company, you get a lawyer for the mortgage company, they're all having to deal with each other. Anything can happen at that point. Here it's easier basically because there's only two different kind of contracts in Florida. There's basically the as is contract, and then what some realtors call the non as is contract.
Yeah.
Most realtors use the as is contract, and it's very simple. It's straightforward. It actually allows the use of a title agent and the realtor to work hand in hand to make sure that your closing is going to go smooth. Because it's a very easy contract, and it's pretty easy for most of the people who are buying or selling to read. Much easier than in New York or up north.
It is a pretty simple contract, even though I will go over it with my clients,
Absolutely.
we'll go from start so they understand that the difference and all the critical points in there, the things that they need to know about the timelines. But it is I think it's a good contract. I haven't seen other contracts from other states, but it seems pretty simple when I've had people who've bought homes go, wow, your contract's much easier to understand, just letting them know about those critical things like your right to inspect and, cancellation and all that stuff and other deadlines that are important to know about. And then of course, the one that we have the whole force majeure, which comes up, but that could happen anywhere because they could have a snowstorm if they have, I'm sure it's in the contracts up in the north because up there they get snowstorms, which could impede a closing if the house was damaged. Down here, it's usually a tropical storm or something or whatever. But well, that's cool. So, well, good. We've got a couple of viewers. I don't see any questions. Like, don't be shy. Ask a question. You guys out there, if you have any questions for Al, he's been doing this a while, so he knows what he's doing. But
let me get back a little to the costs. Like I said, the title company, a couple of the costs that the title company is really in charge of is the settlement fee and the title search itself. So that's your main cost that the title agent company really has responsibility to do. So, it's usually about maybe $200 to do the title search. It's about $695 or so to do the settlement fee. The lien searches are determined by the city themselves. Every city has a different cost for the municipal lien search. So you're just going to pay exactly what you pay to the city, plus maybe $80, $85 for whoever is doing that particular lien search. And it's usually a third-party company that does the lien search. There's also the HOA estoppel letter.
I was just going to say, let's talk about, because maybe some of the people watching, maybe they have parents that have a home down here. Maybe those parents are getting to that age where they're going to put them in, assisted living, and they're thinking about selling the house. Be sure to list of Lykins, but cheesy plug, right? But seriously, if they were and they wanted, to have you, here in Palm Beach County, right? If they wanted you to handle that, and they could in Broward too, again, if they wanted to, but if they were here in Palm Beach County and they chose to have you, the estoppel is one of the things that obviously this seller is responsible for, and you want to explain that to them what it is.
Yeah, it's an HOA estoppel letter. Basically, we're going to send a letter to the HOA company who's handling whoever's managing that particular community. In Florida, there's a lot of HOAs out there, much more than up north.
So for a lot of people, don't know, HOA stands for Homeowners Association. And I plan on doing a video about the pros and cons of those, because there's definitely a good and a not good to both sides. But if you live in one, they have that. So you have to send the estoppel letter to them. And correct me if I'm wrong, but it's pretty much, that's the letter that the HOA will take, and they'll look at the property and they're going to see if there were any violations, like that person that didn't cut their lawn, or if they never had their house cleaned and they were told to pressure wash it, like we have to have ours done.
Yeah.
And they ignored, they're going to start adding those fines up, and it's not going to be clear. They won't let them. Well, you can't really sell the house because you're going to say, hey, they have these fines, and until these fines are paid, they're not going to release it.
Right. And basically what happens, if you go into an HOA, the buyer has to get approved by the HOA. And if that seller owes money into it, they're not going to approve the new buyer to be able to get into that area unless those fines are cleared up. What's interesting, the HOA can actually lien your property. They have the power to lien the property. So
that's why it's going to be important for you guys to watch my next video when I make about the pros and cons of an HOA, because they are good, but they're not for everybody. So it's important. But yeah, that's a good point, and that comes up more often than I mean, just people don't, especially if it's a house that someone's inherited or something happened. Being that we are South Florida, so we have a lot of retirees, and if say the parents passed away and the kids get the house, so they have no idea. And if something just wasn't taken care of, I mean, unless they get all the mail and they see the letters coming, but sometimes you just don't see them. So
no. When I first came down here, my mom was living in a condo, and I basically took over trying to pay for everything, and I wanted to take it and sell it eventually. I found out that while she was sick for a few months, there was no HOA payments being done.
Yeah.
So I had to make up like 6 months of HOA payments before I could even do anything.
Yeah, that can add up. Some of these HOAs down here are almost $500, $600 a month in some of these communities. So some of the condo ones I've looked at, like $1,100 a month. So get quite expensive. So, well, cool. So, we're not getting any questions from anyone, but I think, this, when we go back and people watch, I think you answered quite a bit of the questions that they might have. Now, I know your contact information's up here, and I shared your email. So if anybody wants to get a hold of you, but yeah, it's simple process for the most part. I think it's good that you guys, I love that, they can go to the title company and, you guys do what you do. I know that you stay in touch with us, the realtors, through the process, and let us know, and any kind of things that come up that are like, hey, you're going to have just prepping you, Paul, but this is going to be something you get to bring up to them, and they probably don't want to see it, but at least you kind of
in Florida, the title company is basically quarterback of this entire deal. Yeah. We deal with both sides. We deal with the sellers, we deal with the buyers, we deal with the seller and buyer agents, we deal with the lenders, we deal with the underwriters. We basically have to take all that information and get it ready for the closing. So we will actually get all the information while we're dealing with everybody, making sure we're all ready to close. The lender is clear to close. They got everything in line. We basically take everything, bring everybody to the table, have everybody sign the closing. We even do the fund disbursements, the title company, which is really important at the end.
Oh, you mean where we get paid?
Well, you get paid and the seller gets their money.
Everyone gets paid. Everyone's happy.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's always good. Yeah, no, it seems to work well. I mean, I like it. I don't know what it's like in other states, only you do, obviously.
Yeah.
But for what I can tell, it's a good process, and you guys are there, and so if you guys are watching, and you need to reach out to Al if you have questions. I know that, like I said, if any of you have relatives, if maybe you have parents down here and they're thinking of, I know, like I said earlier, about going into assisted living or just whatever, and if you have some real estate down here and you want to unload it, reach out to me. I can get you in touch with Al, and they'll handle all that process to make sure it's a smooth closing. Also, something obviously that's kind of important, came up a lot, is that you don't necessarily have to be here to do the closing. I'm sure Al and them can get you a remote notary if needed. If it's a cash deal, you don't need that, but you have someone that can handle the documents and everything. But if you do need stuff notarized, they can do it remotely. A lot of my clients sign from their homes and then come down here after the closing and stuff. So
we also have a national network of notaries who can actually go anywhere to their home and actually have them sign the papers there. So
good deal. Well, I was gonna say, what are you drinking? But I think you already showed me earlier. At least you had your koozie, right? You had your koozie.
No.
So I said you got to bring a beer on the show, but that's okay.
I'm sorry.
I'll have a beer with you later.
I didn't have a local beer, so I didn't want to bring on just any beer.
That's okay. Yeah. So this is good. I'm having a nice Selfish from Fort Pierce, Sunrise
I've had that.
IPA.
I've had that. It's actually very good.
Pretty good local brewery. So, well, listen, brother, I appreciate it. Thanks for coming on. And obviously, if anyone needs to, hold on a second. We did get a comment. Paul Lee asked, "Is there title insurance with the title search?"
The title search, the title insurance is different than the title search. The title search is only going to tell you basically if there's any liens on the property, what needs to be done to clear those up if there are any. Title insurance is issued at the closing table, and like I said, it's based on the price. And as opposed to other types of insurance, title insurance is a one-time fee. You pay it at closing, and it follows the entire. As long as you or your heirs own the property, you don't have to pay anything else. It's a one-time fee and covers you.
Paul, I put his contact information up if you'd like to email Al directly. There's his email. Also, this is being recorded, so you can always come back and catch it at a later date. And it's also in the About section. I have his contact information on YouTube, so you can come back if you have any further questions for him. But thanks so much for the question. I appreciate it. I guess that's it. Hey, so we have one person asked a question. All right, there we go. Thank you, Paul. Thanks for watching. All right, man. Well, listen, I think I appreciate your time, and on a Thursday evening, I'm sure I'll see you soon. Or get back out and do some more networking. And if anyone needs to reach you, I will be sure to put them in touch with you.
And if you're looking to buy or sell in Palm Beach County or Broward or anywhere in Florida, I can guarantee Paul is the guy who can help you.
Florida, there you go. I mean, if I can't cover somewhere in Florida, I know an agent who will. So, all right. Yeah, we got a couple people. Thank you guys. So, anyway, all right, Al, we'll talk to you a little bit later.
All right. Have a good one, everybody. Right. Take care.
All right, brother. Take care.
Move to Florida.
Yeah. Right. All right.
Thank you.
Later.
Bye.
All right. Well, listen, that was Al with Global Closings, and he's in my breakfast group, and so he's a good guy. So his contact information is all there. And thanks from Dave and Tiff in Santa Cruz. Hey, Dave and Tiff. Hey, nice to see you guys. Chris Blake, thanks. I love it. Gene Biggs, love it. Thank you guys. Appreciate it. So let me just clear this out real quick. Let me get my banners here. So, all right. Where are we at here? So anyway, so this is the second time I've done this. I'm going to try to keep these to a half hour. I know we're over that right now. We're at 32 minutes. So anyway, so appreciate you guys watching. Keep tuning in. I'm going to keep trying to bring experts on. I have a mortgage person. I've got some other people that I want to bring onto my live stream. It's kind of a way for me to really, interact with y'all and bring an expert in that can, tell you about the real estate and their mortgages and different things that apply to that. And then I'm also going to try to get some other people who, if I can get some local guests for different things about Palm Beach County, because, my channel is not just about just real estate. It is about living in Palm Beach County. So, matter of fact, I was just doing a little research for y'all before the show. And for the month of September, it looks like a lot of hotels, if you guys have plans to come down here, and you got to do some research and find out which ones, but it looks like a lot of the hotels are going to be doing a free hotel nights. So it looks like there's a promotion here during which select hotels and resorts in Palm Beach will give you one night free when you book a minimum number of nights. So not sure, but I got that information from thepalmbeaches.com. It's their website. So you can kind of sort of see that but if you're thinking about coming down here, and it isn't cooling off yet. It's still hot. So, but a couple different events and stuff, some small food festivals that are coming up. Flavor Palm Beach and the Boca Restaurant Month. Looks like they just have like restaurants that are doing specials and stuff. Really, most of the fun activities will probably start typically right around November and stuff like that. They start when the weather obviously starts to get cooler, a lot more of the outdoor events. You'll start seeing a lot of art shows and different things that start happening. And then after the holidays, once it becomes around December, just, everything goes on, all the lights, all the trees, all the different events and stuff start going on, and really becomes an exciting place to be down here. So plus we start to get our first little bit of Is that a Discover the Palm Beaches deal? You know, I don't know. It's just it was just on their website, the palmbeaches.com. Crisp, I have no idea what the deal is. I went to their website, and that's the tourism board for Palm Beach County, and they usually try to promote all things Palm Beach County, so it's a good resource for me to get information. But I would check. That is where I was reading at. It just doesn't say what hotels, or at least I didn't see what hotels were offering. But so you just have to kind of check it out. But anyway, so hope you guys like this. If you have any feedback, it is going to be recorded. Leave a comment down below and let me know what your thoughts are. And I will keep trying to bring you these live streams and try to get you more information. Maybe we'll talk a little bit about the local beer scene. If you guys like craft beer, it's definitely a good beer scene down here. I'm going to be talking about, different beaches. Just in general, if you have questions about what it's like to live here, I've been here 28 years. And as you know, I call it paradise. And even though it's hot now, once that cool weather gets here, it's going to be fantastic. So, that's it. I don't see any other questions. So I appreciate it. All right. That's about 36 minutes. That's probably about all I got in me. I don't want to bore you guys. I appreciate you watching. And as always, when you're in the Palm Beaches, get out and enjoy paradise. And here's the fun part. I always try to get out of here. And now I figured it out. I'm still learning this. So, all right, guys, we'll talk to you real soon.